For all of its glitter and glamour, commerce and culture, New York is still a city of neighborhoods, a place where millions of people call home. For more than 2 million New Yorkers, home is Brooklyn. Throughout the borough, neighborhood pride is flourishing in areas once threatened by urban decay. 10 years ago, Con Edison came up with a plan for reversing that trend by bringing private developers and neighborhood organizations together to renovate abandoned buildings and convert them into affordable co-ops and condominiums. And that was the beginning of the Renaissance program.
The company said back in 1978, we have a moral responsibility to do something about this in our own little way. We have a service territory that we're not going to be leaving, and we have to do something to, one, protect our service territory, and two, see what we can do to improve it, and three, produce electric revenue and protect our electric rate base, and at the same time enhance and protect the neighborhoods of the city of New York.
Brooklyn was chosen for the Renaissance program because that was where the need and the potential of reviving blighted and at-risk neighborhoods was the greatest.
Our first project at 137 Guernsey Street in Greenpoint was a vacant 8-unit structure, smack in the middle of a block where most of the housing stock was in fairly good condition.
Before I moved in, before this condition, I understand that there was a lot of problems on this block, but since all the renovations taken place, people seem to be a little more aware that they should keep the sidewalks a little cleaner, you know, things like that are happening. Well, I was born and raised in this neighborhood, but I've been on this block for 5 years. I bought into this property 5 years ago, and it was one of the best investments I ever made.
510 Ocean Parkway was a vacant 4-story walk-up building at the corner of Ocean Parkway and 18th Avenue in the Kensington section of Brooklyn. We put together the development team, and the building was converted into affordable co-op units. The 11-unit rehab that we undertook at 509 515 Court Street in Carroll Gardens was one of our earliest projects in the early 80s. And working with the Gowanus Canal Community Development Corporation and Citibank, we began to stabilize Carroll Gardens. 1529 42nd Street in Borough Park was a completely vacant 48-unit apartment house. The building was rehabilitated successfully, and it went well. It went well. The Roanoke Hotel on South Oxford Street in Clinton Hill was, in its prime, was a grand hotel. And then a fire hit it one day, and the building was 90% destroyed. Frank Liz, who was the developer, came in and turned it into 22 beautiful condominium apartments. The Mohawk, very symbolic of the whole neighborhood of Clinton Hill, couldn't be torn down. Totally unacceptable, and had to be rehabbed. It turned out to be a very successful project, and the kind of project that we're proud to have been associated with. Right now we have one of our tougher projects, is PS7 in Vinegar Hill, which is just within the shadows of the Manhattan Bridge. I'd like to think that when it's all over and that the units are sold as condos, we will have another award-winning finished product, not only that will help stabilize Vinegar Hill, but also provide affordable housing to 28 new families to the neighborhood. The Bushwick section of Brooklyn, as most people know, is probably one of the most devastated parts of Brooklyn, if not the entire city. As soon as I saw that things had stabilized there and that they weren't getting any worse, I began to reach out to our developers to see who would be adventuresome enough to want to go into Bushwick. Cy Mandelbaum, to his credit, said, "I'm here. Pick me,
let's go in there and do something." I told him I was looking for neighborhoods that what we call is upper coming. I told him that I was thinking of Bushwick because I remember Bushwick years ago, that it was a very, very beautiful neighborhood, and I was always passing by here to see how this neighborhood was sort of going down. I thought it's time to upgrade it. I consider it a good and sound investment, that's number one. And number two, I'm very proud to come to a neighborhood where I see the changes practically every day.
The Renaissance program has made a positive impact in 17 Brooklyn neighborhoods. 602 formerly vacant units have been converted into co-ops and condos, and in 10 years, the program has generated more than $40 million of completed private sector reinvestment. An additional $24.8 million of private sector reinvestment with 211 units is presently under construction, and 373 more units are in the planning stages. And along with rehabilitation, Renaissance has expanded to include new residential construction.
I think the most important aspect of the program at this point is the fact that we have the contacts in the banking community, based on our record of performance, that we can very quickly get the financing that's so necessary to make the project go.
But if not for the Renaissance program, I wouldn't be here today.